All right, so this is a pretty interesting core value, and I wasn't sure whether this core value would get included as one of the core values for communication, but I think it is important. So some of you know about my background. I went to Brigham Young University as an undergrad, and then I went to Caltech in California for my graduate degree, and where I got my master's in chemical engineering. And then I also went to Stanford to get a degree on management. So I went to the Stanford Graduate School of Business, and I learned a lot. Great professors across all universities that I attended. And at Stanford, they had this famous class, and it was called informally as a touchy-feely class. But it was one of the top class that all the people who went to Stanford Graduate School of Business really remembered. It was in their top 5 most memorable class among alumni who graduated from Stanford years ago. And it was very popular. I took the course and I learned tremendously. And I wish some of the things I learned in that school, I learned when I was a lot younger, because I didn't know about some of these concepts. So let me introduce some of the things that I learned at Stanford through that touchy-feely class. The official name of the class is Interpersonal Dynamics or Interpersonal Communications. But let me share some of the things I learned from there because I feel like I think this is going to um, have an influence on how we communicate. It certainly affected how I communicate to people around me. Okay, so when it comes to interpersonal communication, that's when, let's say, two people are talking to each other. So person A talking to person B. Well, when two people are talking to each other, they all come from different backgrounds. We all have different backgrounds, different childhoods, different experiences, and therefore, no person is exactly alike. Right? Person A have certain emotions that were fine-tuned, or certain skills that were fine-tuned. Person B may come from very different backgrounds, or similar background, but with different, slightly different, experience and so forth. But no one is exactly like another. So person A, which I'll represent with this, person B, which I'll represent here, when they meet, when they communicate, they're communicating using words and body language and so forth. So they communicate, this one person says something, and then what they say lands on another person, and they interpret the words and body language to mean something, and then they send another message back, and so send back to this person, and that lands on that person. And the communication is basically just words and body language kind of being passed, landing on another person back and forth. It's almost like playing tennis. Throw ball, goes over the net, lands on this person, and then now it's their turn to throw, and then lands on the other person. Okay, so again, words are just tools that we use to express our intent, how we feel, what we think. So sometimes it's feelings or emotions in our hearts that we communicate using words. Sometimes it's things in our brain, a logical thing, right, that we communicate using words. But we all know that words are not super clear sometimes on delivering what we're thinking or what we're feeling, right? Okay, but thinking and feeling are both very, very important, okay? Now, sometimes when person A speaks and what they said lands on another person, they may feel certain emotion or they may get triggered. Maybe they start feeling upset. Maybe they start feeling happy or sad. Any of the emotions may happen in the other person because of what this person said or how this landed on another person. Now, this person that spoke does not know how they spoke landed on that person, right? Their intent may have been, oh, I'm going to share some and so because my intent is to deliver that message in a certain way, but it may have landed completely the wrong way, and this person starts feeling, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So see that interpersonal dynamics and how we speak, how we write emails. It's all a way to lend our thoughts or emotions and deliver that over on the other side. But how it lands on the other person, as we know, sometimes goes against what we intended. So we may not have intentionally desired that our words to hurt someone's feeling, but somehow it triggered that person and made that person upset, and we don't know why. Right? Okay. So in that situation, one other thing that I learned that had a profound impact in me as a person, how I view life, and also in terms of communication, was about being non-judgmental. And what do we mean? So at Stanford, we called it, I pass the ball, right? It's like tennis. And once it goes over to the other side of the net, how it lands, right, is up to that person. So do not judge. And say, for example, hey, when you hear certain words, whenever you say, hey, you're so ignorant, or you're so stupid, or why are you so mean? Or why are you so quick to judge? Or why are you such a mean person or inconsiderate? How could you have said that? You're such a bad person, right? Whenever you're making a judgment on character on the other side, you're crossing the net. You're not supposed to do that. You don't know the intent of that person. You assumed that the person was evil or, bad or, not considerate, or just stupid or whatever. Anytime you make a judgment on you are so and so, or he is or she is so and so, you're making a judgment, and you don't know why they said things certain way, and so forth. So avoid being judgmental. Now, what you can say that's completely legitimate is how that word landed on you and what emotions or what thoughts it triggered. So you can say, hey, when you said X, Y, and Z, I felt this. Or I thought. These are new thoughts that came into my mind. Not about who you are, because I don't know who you are. I don't want to judge. But it landed on me, and I felt sadness. I felt happy. It allowed me to feel more connected to you. And you can then say, what was the intent of you saying that? The way you did. So then you can clarify their intent. You're not taking that conversation, you're making a judgment and saying, oh, you're so bad, I don't connect with you, we're not on the same frequency, whatever. You can say, oh, that's how it landed on me, that's how I felt. What did you mean? And sometimes you don't even have to ask, what did you mean? You can just say, that's how I felt. Was that what you intended? Or am I understanding you correctly? Right? So, that back and forth communication, I think before I was very quick to judge. And I would say, hey, you're a person of A, B, and C character. I realized I was doing it all wrong. It's not right for me to judge them because I don't know their backgrounds. I don't know their stories. Maybe English is not their, first language. Maybe they were just having a bad day. Maybe they were just stressed because they have some family situations going on and some of their emotions got carried and I misinterpreted what they have said and I wrongly judged them. Because there were so many times I was shoot out a very angry email or, nasty communication. And then later I regret, oh my goodness, I had no idea the person was going through A, B, and C. And then later when I got to know the person better, I realized that person never intended to hurt my feelings. So does that mean I should just suppress my emotions? No, this is not what that means. Suppressing emotions is usually very unhealthy, even in a professional environment. Right? What I'm saying is do not assume the intent of the other person and make a judgment on someone's character. Give them some time, right? Get to know them. But you can be honest, and if you want, you could share how you felt. Now, you don't have to do that in a professional environment, right? At a professional work, imagine your supervisor give you some task and you say, oh, but, boss, I feel, X, Y, and Z. Your boss doesn't care how you feel, really. Most of the time they don't care. They just say, well, okay, well, I appreciate you telling me that, but get to work now, please. Right? So, the work is a little interesting because it's professional environment, but to your colleague that you built relationship with, you can be more open with your feelings. Later with your supervisor, once you've really built that trust, you can be a little bit more open, but we still got to stay professional. But deep inside, remember we talked about the core values and really internalizing these to change who we are as a person, kind of, becoming more professional rather than just acting professional, right? In terms of becoming more professional, I think this concept of avoiding judgment on character is super important. So many instances in my life, both personal and work, where I was too quick to judge on someone's character. And later I found out, for example, someone just lost their parents, someone is having their family member go through certain situations, and I had no idea. Someone is going through a personal depression, I had no idea. Someone is getting bullied, at work, or they feel undervalued, I had no idea. And when I talked to them, I felt like they just didn't like me, but it turns out it wasn't that. They were just very stressed and it just landed on me the wrong way, not the way they intended. And I assumed that they were just maybe lazy or they were bad employees or they don't care about me. They're disrespectful, right? Remember all those words were making a judgment on that person. I did that so many times. And then at Stanford, when I'm almost 37 years old, when I went to Stanford, right? I was a little bit older. I found out, oh my goodness, I've been making that mistake all along, even among my family members. I said, so and so, you're so rude, you don't care, or, you're so bad. Like any of that judgment call, I realized I was not in a position to say that. I could have said, wow, when you said that, I felt this, and this, and this. And I could be open-minded and say, what did you mean? Is that what you intended? And sometimes the answer is yes, that's exactly what I want you to feel. Well, then that's fine. Maybe that was effective communication, right? So it doesn't mean that you always have to go and ask them, hey, what did you intend? But especially in a professional setting, give people a benefit of doubt. Try not to make a judgment on their character, but still work needs to get done. So you can still be considerate and say, for example, hey, what's going on here? When you told me X, Y, and Z, this is how I felt. Is there something going on? Is there something I can help you with? Or is there something that I'm doing that's bothering you that I can fix? Right? Those are good conversations you can have. Not all of it is gonna come out in a positive way, but if you're careful and if you do that with prayerful heart, good conversations could come out from that. So now below the video, I'm gonna lay out some scenarios. Really want you to think about those scenarios and what you would do if you're in that situation, okay?